YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back, and Stephon Gilmore, the star cornerback of the New England Patriots, has been traded to the Carolina Panthers, and we're here to grade it like we do for the big name trades here. And the last trade that we graded was Carolina Panthers acquiring a cornerback, C.J. Henderson. So here we are again. The Panthers are definitely not afraid to get better. They're going all out right now. This is definitely a surprising one. We were talking about it all this morning. It sounded like he was released, Gilmore that was, but it doesn't come official until 4 p.m. Eastern on the day they kind of announced that, which was today. So Patriots kind of fishing out there for a trade. They find it with the Carolina Panthers, of course. Again, bit surprising. If you're not following our Twitter, you're missing out. A lot of talk on there, a lot of these thoughts this morning, talking during live games. It's how you join our Picks League. Any link you're looking for, description and comments. Again, I didn't in no way predicted the Gilmore to be traded to the Panthers, but we talked about all the landing spots if he was released. We talked about this morning if he was traded. I talked that trade is still a possibility, and I kind of listed the teams. This is really the only teams that could have traded for him. It was very limited based on the cap space for this year. You had to have enough, about $5.8 million. So I put the Panthers in the sleeper category. I honestly thought they would kind of roll with their young group, even though they're beat up. J.C. Horn hurt, but they went out there and they apparently offered more than these other teams that could have traded for him. And a lot of these other teams need corners, so I'm a little disappointed in those teams as well. So he does end up on the Panthers again. Check out our Twitter. You're missing out if you're not there. So the trade details: Stephon Gilmore to the Panthers. Patriots get a 2023 6th-round pick. Overall surprising because we thought one of these other contenders would be, I guess if he was released, if he was a free agent, where would he end up? He would end up, the Packers could have traded for him as well, but maybe the Packers, the Buccaneers. I'm starting to think the Packers maybe just weren't in on him at all. It sounded like he wanted a contender, so everyone thinks Packers. It sounded like it would have been an appealing spot for him to play, so people are thinking Packers among other teams, but every time somebody's available, the Packers are surprisingly not in on that guy. That happens pretty often. They're pretty picky about their players. They're pretty picky about, staying put at what they got. So I'm starting to think the Packers may not have been interested at all, maybe if he was released, which is a thing that, very good team every year, but maybe it's something that gets on the fans a little bit, that they're not a little more aggressive when they have the opportunity. They definitely couldn't extend him long term. They got cap space in the future, but not near future. Next year, they're in the negative right now, so maybe that prevented it. So, again, surprised some of these other teams weren't involved, but, starting to think maybe they actually weren't, and which is a surprise to some people. Panthers, what I think they're going to do here, I think they're going to go Gilmore and Dante Jackson as the starters. They traded for C.J. Henderson, and, again, that was a long-term thing. He's got a ton of upside. He's going to be a good one in the future. He struggled a little bit right now, but he's a young, and I'm still going off prospect evaluation with him because he was just drafted a year ago. Corners take a long time to develop. For the most part, sometimes you get lucky. Henderson was a raw prospect. It's going to take time. So for now, you got Gilmore, Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson probably won't be extended. You also have J.C. Horn coming back. J.C. Horn, well, like a lot, coming back next year. So that looks pretty good. We'll see if the Panthers can extend him. Will they decide to do that? We will see. Patriots only get a 6th-round pick in return. Yeah, it's a pretty good debate here. You could say they were about to get nothing, which is true. If they just released him, which was the plan. So better something than nothing. But I think they could have handled this situation a little better. We'll talk about it here in a second. First, let's grade the Panthers. I'm going to give them an A+. And I tweeted right before recording this. I tweeted. Trade grades incoming. I only had to make one grade graphic, and that was because seeing if anyone could. I didn't update to see if anybody else guessed, but that was because the last trade grades we did, I had an A+ graphic for the Panthers for C.J. Henderson, and I rarely give out A+. And again, I think that's going to be really decided with C.J. Henderson down the line if that's truly an A+. So I didn't have to update this graphic, so I only had to make one for the Patriots. So that's what I was getting at with that one. But let's say Gilmore doesn't work out. Let's say he gets hurt when he comes back for the Panthers here. I'm still grading an A+. You got the Panthers are second most in cap space right now. Yeah, sure, you can have some rollover to next year, but they have plenty. Why not use it? They're a winning team right now. Only lost their first game, just one game this season here to the Cowboys last week. They could have used that Gilmore help. They noticed that. Why not? Why not? 2023 6th-round pick all day. It's an easy A+. I don't care if it works out or not. It's an A+ right now. I graded on the value right now. I like the fit with the Panthers. Again, last year a lot of cover 3. This year they were gearing towards running more man coverage, but they want to kind of keep open to what type of coverage they run. Gilmore, he's versatile enough, but he is familiar with familiar, experience, good with man coverage. There's not a long list of corners that can do that. Very hard to do. So that's awesome. Hopefully he's healthy though when he's able to go for the Panthers, which should be sometime soon here. It's just so low risk, high reward. Even if it doesn't hit the high reward, it's just low risk, and you're going to get some kind of reward out of this, in my opinion, whether it's when he comes back this year to help that playoff push, if they extend him and it's long term. If they don't extend him, they save money for the future, and he helped them this year. It's hard not to give him an A+ here. And then for the Patriots, I gave him a D here, and you could say, why not an F? Well, why I bump it up from an F is because, they were about to get nothing. So at least they did get something. And then there's probably a group of people who are saying, well, they got something out of nothing. So why is it as low as a D? I kind of backtrack a little bit they really handled this situation, I think, pretty poorly. I think that this is something they should have had an idea on before. I know they probably wanted to see how their secondary was right now before making that decision, but I think you should have enough knowledge to make that decision and trade him in the offseason and figure out that, hey, we're not going to be able to extend him. Extending him is unlikely. I think they were toying around with J.C. Jackson, too. They put a tender on him, a second-round tender, so maybe they were trying to get a team to bite and do that. And take that second-round pick and then maybe extend Gilmore. So they had a little bit of a project, and it turns out that you would definitely rather have J.C. Jackson long-term, which that's the good news. I think that means they'll probably be able to extend J.C. Jackson. But they were all over the place in the offseason with this situation, the corner situation, and I don't think they handled it well. So that's why it's down at a D. You could have got at least a second-round pick for him, some point in the offseason. And if you want to say, maybe if you doubt that, then third round pick at the max or at the worst there. So I think they handle the situation kind of poorly. But then but looking at that, you want to give them an F. But looking at where they are today, they got something. But I'm not a fan of how they handled the situation. It's just like, all right, we'll take the 2023 6 and let's just move on. That's kind of how it is at that point. But that doesn't mean I have to grade them highly. Overall, it's not a grade. It's not going to hurt the Patriots right now. They've already been playing without Gilmore. The secondary's been good. I know some people usually say that. So how is it a bad grade? Well, that really has nothing to do with Gilmore. I'm grading it based off the value of this trade. So I gave him a D here. Again, I'm mainly focusing on they handled it pretty poorly this offseason leading up to this point, but. He hasn't been playing for them this year, so that's why you can't get too down about this. Maybe if you're a Patriots fan or if you're just a fan in general in how you look at the Patriots, you can't really get too down on them overall because he hasn't been playing for them. They're probably going to extend J.C. Jackson, and this helps, I suppose, and just keep moving forward here. So overall, it's not a giant negative. It just, if I had to grade both these teams here, that is how I would grade them. So very surprising, Panthers. I got to respect their approach here. They saw an opportunity to get better for a pretty cheap cost, and they're not afraid to do it. There's so many teams that are just, we'll kind of develop our guys, even though those guys aren't going to be the best, as good as Gilmore this year. So Panthers pulled the trigger. Respect that. Those are my grades. Pretty quick one here. We got all that weekly content, picks, power ranking, score predictions, rookie power rankings coming back this week. Probably a Thursday video, and that'll be every week. So really excited about the content we have here. We recently hit 10K on Twitter, so appreciate your support there. But yeah, that's going to wrap this one up. Everyone, thanks for watching. Goodbye.